Let's get it. Let's go. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Go podcast. We are remote today, and I'm pumped to bring in AJ Ricketts to the conversation. What's up, AJ?
Hey Sam, great to be a guest on the pod. I appreciate you having me on. Looking forward to this.
So kind of random how we connected through the world of social media and just seeing that you have a serious passion for both broadcasting and running, as do I. And I was like, you know what? My podcast, it's a little underground right now, but I'm trying to pick it up with some more guests. And this was a cool way to blend the conversation with two passions that we both have. So I want to go back to the beginning for you and tell me what passion started first, broadcasting or running?
Oh, definitely running, man. I was doing like the kin like run club in kindergarten after the Scholastic Book Fair, and doing laps around my school, putting clothespins on my shorts after every lap, or we put a little Crayola marker on our hand to signify every lap. I shudder at how much of that has seeped into our skin through for our elementary school years. But the run club was from kindergarten. I didn't know I wanted to be a broadcaster until at least junior year of high school. People would ask me what I want to major in. I'd say sociology because that was what all the Duke basketball players majored in, and I wanted to be a Duke basketball player. So that was the initial answer, and then started finding my way into the broadcast space almost by mistake, and I'm sure we could get into that. But yeah, running was definitely first. It's been there since the job. So, but I'm glad broadcasting got in there at some point.
Wow. So where did you grow up and like what was the evolution of your running journey through your teenage years and then ultimately like at the high school level? Like was it heavy, serious competition like where you grew up?
Yeah, we had it wasn't tr too serious until high school. I do like I said, the run club at my K through 8, and we do all the parochial school 5Ks, so like 4 or 5 a year. But then the high school team, they kind of like, I guess they in a way recruited me, said, "Hey, come join the cross country team." And when you find a way for a sense of belonging right away at high school, you jump towards that. And I dove all in at that point. That was one of the first times had structure, 30 to 40 miles a week, doing the long run Sunday morning, 6 a.m. I went to a place called Pensacola Catholic that had a pretty good running tradition, had won some state titles, and our coach was an awesome guy, Eric Nelson. And he motivated us, and he was great. I was by no means the fastest in the area. Eventually made like all county team, I think, and did enough to get a spot as a walk on at Miami. But no, it just worked really hard. Went to like the Duke cross country camp every year and would get motivated there to run big miles and train hard and try to get to the D1 level. So yeah, high school is where the structure came in, and then it just kind of took off from there. But I do feel I overachieved a little bit in getting to run in the ACC eventually. I was like 16:50 5K guy out of high school and 10:10 in the 2 mile, so nothing special. But I was relentless and got into schools academically and put myself in a spot to earn a walk-on position, and then you just never know what happens from there.
What was your most memorable either training block or race in high school, memory in general from that span of time where you said it kind of really took off for you as something that you were going to obviously pursue at the collegiate level?
Yeah, high school, man, a lot of the moments that you remember are just like the non-race stuff, right? Like the bus rides. I remember the freshman year bus rides when the iPhones weren't yet a thing. I think that's one thing that makes me feel super old in this life, that like the iPhone didn't exist my freshman year of high school. And just like those bus rides where we're all playing games with each other and the conversation flowed, or the Friday night team spaghetti dinners, and we're all playing the Nintendo Wii to get like those off the course stuff. Everyone that runs high school cross country can probably identify with that. But yeah, there were definitely moments. I remember, we made state 3 out of 4 years, but junior year we didn't, and we thought we were going to, and we were very overconfident, and then we got, that's what happens. And just the whole, from the track season on, I think we kind of took on a leadership role. It's like we're never going to carry ourselves that cocky or with that much hubris again. We're going to be better leaders. And then that culminated at the very same venue the next year, making the state title. And there was a lot of joy in that. And just learned a lot about being good people and trying to do things the right way. And in high school. And then obviously the state championship was an awesome culmination. And then, you go to Busch Gardens after with the team and just some cool moments.
Yeah.
I think the biggest things we learned though were just like how awesome like the camaraderie of a tight-knit group can be, how doing hard things can be fun. And I think everyone who runs in college will still tend to wax a little poetic about the beginnings of high school cross country. It's a lot of things we didn't know any better. It was very raw and it was very fun.
That's so fascinating. And I immediately am realizing that, like, yeah, we both have this passion for running and broadcasting, but our paths are so different. And I think that's just so beautiful when you think about just people's journey. You have such a unique background, and it's cool to hear your perspective. So you go to Miami, the Hurricanes, ACC. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I'll
Yeah,
do that for
we're obliged to. Like if the conversation shifts, we
you.
are contractually obligated to throw it up once.
So your greatest strength or distance, like when you were in college, that was your sweet spot, was what?
Yeah, I mean, I hesitate to say my strength just because I was holding on by a thread in those initial years, man. I remember there's some guys that dropped from the team, and I was like, am I in a bad program right now? Like guys are quitting, and I realized no, like it's just like a lot of freshmen around the country just drop for like it's tough to make that transition, 6 a.m. practices and then weight room and then going to class and then maybe doubling and adjusting to the mileage and everything that went with that. Probably took me, and then I had to redshirt track season. Not like I would have made an impact on the track team anyway, scoring, but I mean, I've had my first real injury, the only injury I've ever had in running. So it was tough. But eventually, again, you just try to find that camaraderie with the team and you try to thrive during practice instead of survive during it. How can I get the most out of this rather than how can I get through it? You just keep taking on that mindset. And man, yeah, the at NCAA regionals my sophomore year, I scored for the first time, and that was a huge moment for me. Senior year, I finished first on the team, our second, I think our second race, and that was a big moment. Like the fact that I made it to senior year without getting cut, and then was like leading the team for a race. And to me, again, like I said earlier, I think it just speaks to you just put yourself in a good situation. You never know what can happen. And again, it wasn't like I was a super meaningful contributor for 4 years, but I did enough to travel with Cross and to build some awesome relationships with my coach, my teammates. I have so much pride in the program there, and that I just was a tiny, tiny, small part of it. But it was a big part of not my just like athletic career, but my life. So I'm grateful that Damon Griffiths and Amy Dean just let me let me hang around for 4 years, and I hope I could repay them with a couple scoring opportunities throughout 4 years, and now just how I represent them or try to in professionally as a broadcaster with somewhat of a platform.
So there we go, broadcaster. Your entrance into broadcasting, I think you mentioned it earlier how it was kind of by accident or you stumbled upon it. Can you enlighten the people out there how the microphone came
Sure.
into your life?
Yeah, I was very over the top in high school, say like just the most extra kid, like loved attention ferociously, like anything I could do to get some spotlight on AJ was going for. So I was in a student government, student council meeting, and we long story short, there's like a tournament. The guys would play volleyball instead of the girls, seniors versus freshmen. We called it He-Man volleyball. It was a dumb thing that it was fun that student government sponsored. And I raised my hand during the meeting and I said, "Hey, what if me and Chris, buddy, dress up in suits and you give us a microphone and we'll like live broadcast during the game? That would be awesome, right?" And I think they said yes just to like appease us. Like, sure, guys, go ahead, like be silly. And we were so over the top with like we're like putting the mic in our chemistry teacher's face. Like, why did you make those adjustments in the second set? It didn't work at all. Like just dumb, dumb question, suited up. I was like, that was fun. Like I had a black, like people get paid to do that. And I don't know, a week later I was like searching junior college basketball broadcasts in the area. I found what place streamed the local games, and for some reason the guy let me like have a quote internship. And I was calling Pensacola State basketball like a month later. I still don't know why the guy allowed me to do that. I had no credentials whatsoever.
Wait a second. Did you use your that like mock tape as your application?
I I didn't send that one, but I did send like we would make silly videos. We call them nightly news. We're the Crusaders, so we'd make silly videos, and I did send some content from that to the local TV station when I was trying to get an internship or shadow them. And again, I don't know why Steve Nissom and Dan Shugart let me shadow after sending that content, but they were maybe they saw something. But yeah, I was calling junior college basketball, and that kind of gave me, I think, the first bit of structure, like, hey, I'm going to make a chart for our broadcaster. I have to prep in this certain way. Again, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I took it a little more serious, and maybe that's what the University of Miami School of Communication saw and said, hey, he's already doing some JUCO basketball. Let's accept him, like combined
Mm-hmm.
with his high school work. Maybe that had a positive impact in getting into UM, which is it's not an easy school to get. It's definitely, I don't know if I'd get in now, but it probably helped the case then. So yeah, it was silly. It was just a student government joke. And then I thought maybe I should do this.
Wow, that's so unique. I thought you were gonna mention something about how you like volunteered for morning announcements or something on
I did do that on as a
okay.
student government. We were doing the announcements. So you're on the right, yeah, wavelength there.
That's crazy. So one thing that's interesting to me is at least like with my running journey and broadcasting journey, and I'm curious you like how you sort of see the two as far as your journey goes. Like for me, I started knowing when I was like 10 years old that I wanted to be a broadcaster. I was playing basketball in my cul-de-sac,
Yeah.
talking to myself, like and I would even get nervous when neighbors would like walk outside. I would like quickly stop talking because I was like, I don't want them to hear me talk because like why is this person talking to himself playing basketball? So like it was kind of like that early sign of oh like there's going to be some nerves when like the camera comes on and you're on ESPN plus, you know what I mean? But that was like the first inkling for me with broadcasting, and then running came into the picture during COVID, and I started running by myself, and then I found a vision of like community with run clubs and uplifting others, and I realized that like running there's no fear of failure for me when I run because it's not my like full job. I'm doing it for fun. So
Sure.
that's like kind of how and I try to take that mindset and apply it to broadcasting to like be myself, have like understand that mistakes are okay. If I blow up in the 20th mile of a marathon, like, all right, that stinks, but there's no fear of that because it's fun and whatever. So that's like kind of how I try to use my running journey with my broadcasting.
Yeah.
For you, what is the relationship that is sort of built or molded when you think about both your running journey and your broadcasting journey?
No, I love that perspective. That's awesome. I think there's two facets to it. One, I like how they kind of blend together in terms of, how I prepare for a race and the pursuit of that is kind of echoed in broadcasting as well. Like there's similar elements, right? Like the preparation, the weeks leading up, having to execute as a team when it comes to that start line. The similar moments, like I give a fist pump to my teammate at the start line and the countdown and those pre-race awesome anxiety moments. It's kind of similar to when my producer's in my ear and saying, all right, we're going live in 10, 9. I fist pump my analyst. Like it's just a lot. Like it's a
Yeah.
similar feeling. I like how those are reflected with each other. And at the same time, you talked about mindset and how it kind of helped you relax as well. I think the races I've done the best through the years are where I just put the least amount of pressure on myself. Where I do feel prepared, but I go in like I did a Jack and Jill marathon outside Seattle, and like the whole race, I was just looking out at the views, like down the mountains and running through the forest, and I was just, like I literally would verbally say, "I'm so grateful to be here right now." Like
Mm.
like I wasn't thinking about splits or times; it was just flow state and gratefulness. I saw Adam Amin post a photo once. He put a sticky note right in front of his broadcast setup, and it just said, "Being present and grateful is the key for any fulfilling experience." And I love that, and I try to translate that feeling I had looking over the scenic views of North Bend, Washington, to when I'm calling the UCF football game last year, my first Big 12 game. I'm looking out, commercial break, and it finally had reached the sellouts, 50,000 people. I'm just like, take a second, like, don't be thinking about like I'm like nerves or you got to exit. Just be grateful for that. Be present. Like this is awesome. Take it in, and like, all right, let's get back to it and have a great broadcast with our analyst. Just those little moments throughout a broadcast. Yeah, I just think a lot of things are reflective or complement each other in running and broadcasting from how you approach it. And again, there's the preparation aspect, and there's the in-game in race execution aspect too. But I do think there's, some might think that's thinking about it too much or too nuanced, but I do think there's a lot of similar perspectives
Yeah.
to share and ultimately like complement each other, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I love the sort of comparison you made where you're fist bumping your, say, your analyst, and it's like that's kind of, equivalent to fist bumping someone that that's like at mile 13, and you're
Yeah.
trying to push hard. So what is your professional, or at least running journey? Because you share with me that you're traveling somewhere for a race. What is your professional or running situation look like right now? Are you entering races to like win money or compete? Like
Sure.
what
Yeah.
is that? What does that look
Uh,
like?
No, money will always be rare. For sure. I think I did win like $75 in like a race like 5 months after graduating when I was in Carolina. I was like, well, it's official now. If I ever wanted to go back to college, I now am ineligible. Like even if they ever wanted me to run again,
Yeah,
which they wouldn't, I have now accepted cash money. Which apparently now is like we're in some weird phase where you can go back to college even if you've been a pro, but I won't go
yeah,
down that tangent. No, I'm just trying to get the best out of myself before it gets a little more difficult to do when the mid 30s hit. So I guess there's a sense of urgency now being in the, 33. But we got an amazing training group in Miami. It's headed up by a former Venezuelan Olympic marathoner. His name's Luis Orta, and then my training partner's his wife, Haruni. She was like South Asian Games marathon champ, Sri Lankan record holder. So we've got some like really, a lot of former college athletes. So that's been like a renewal of it, like just just having that training group to be with is kind of reset like the passion and the ability to set some PRs. So yeah, there's certain races like um, the Manila half marathon, like just based on the times the last few years, like I'll be in contention to be in the top 5 or 10, and
wow,
that's like cool opportunity, I think. Like the Boston Marathon, I think it's 1,500th of the 29,000. So I'm not, I have former teammates like my buddy Sean Grossman. He just qualified for the Olympic trials. Like to me, those guys are on another
yeah,
level. And I'm so proud of them. But if I could just be the best I could be, usually finishing in the top 5% of a race, running majors, being right around PR level, and in some of these races, maybe, contending in the top five. I think that's, those are the kind of cool goals
mm,
that I have going into it. And if money becomes, something I get a little check out of it, that's awesome. That's awesome too, but
yeah,
it's not particularly expected. I guess sub elite would be the tier I am part of, but definitely
yeah.
not elite.
It's bigger than it's throw the money prizes for these races out the window. Like it's we're in it for
Exactly. Yeah.
for community, for like just the overall pushing yourself. Uh, I I think that's the big thing is community is everything. You mentioned like the people you train with and like the running community here in Charlotte is absolutely unbelievable. There's so many run clubs. There's a way to experience different environments and I think that's so important.
Yeah, the run club explosion has been awesome. Like I remember, I don't know if you can hear my dog barking in the background. I'm at the family house for a couple of days, so apologies if so. She wants to go outside. I was, I moved back to Miami. There's so many solo miles, man. Like from easy runs to workouts. Um, just a lot of time and thought, and then right around the post-COVID, and you're a testament to this. Just the run club started booming, and that was awesome to have just more people to run easy miles with. And then recently, I know there's been more training groups where we'll do track workouts or hard workouts together, and that's taken it to another level. But throughout both of those, it's you just meet people from everywhere, all across the country, all different walks of life, and it's just been kind of the jolt of energy into any running goal that you have. And then, when you really set difficult goals, you've got people around you that believe in you, and that can take you to another level. So very, very grateful for that. At times, it kind of feels like I got my college team around me,
Yeah.
And that's because that's what all college kids miss most when we leave is the team.
Yeah.
The meets are great, but just the team environment and just roasting each other every day and just going to eat after a hard work. Just those little things. That's good to have. So I know you can identify with that in terms of the camaraderie as you mentioned.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So I'm I'm curious. I just thought about this. What's been like the most challenging race post college that you've had, and what's been the most challenging broadcast or like hurdle or just some
Yeah.
memorable experience, like most memorable race post college, most memorable broadcast post college.
Sure. Race probably Boston 2018. I hesitate just because it was a terrible race, right? It was like the worst weather conditions I think in the history of it was 33 degrees and pouring rain, so it was just warm enough to not snow. But it was cold enough to be like freezing rain, 30-mile-per-hour headwinds, and then I didn't prepare well for it all in terms of like a race day fit. I was wearing like a singlet and one arm sleeve like that. I was like, I'll warm up, and then I never warmed up. So I was already wet and miserable for 3 hours coming into the race, and then yeah, it just fell apart at mile 12, and it was just survival the rest of it. And I was walking, I was doing 11, 12-minute miles. I cried at mile 23 when a volunteer gave me like a foil, like you can cover yourself with a
Yeah,
foil,
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
like a survival tool at that point. But it's like you can't quit at the Boston Marathon, number one. Number two, I'll get emotional when I think about it. The two things happened after that race, and it just speaks to me of like, your people looking out for you in this world, in this sport. My parents were like 50 yards past the finish line, and standing right next to them was one of my best friends from Nike running camp, and he captured the moment where like I came over and embraced my parents, was hugging. Like first of all, what are the odds they're right by the finish line? What are the odds that one of my best friends is standing next to them and then captures that embrace with me and my
Yeah.
family after my first Boston? Like that's framed now. And then I walk down the finish chute. I'm getting wheelchaired because I can't walk to the gear check to get my bag. The volunteers switch off, and the one that comes to my wheelchair, another close friend from running camp that I met the previous year in New Hampshire. And she's like, AJ? I was like, Alex. And I like muttered my parents' phone number so she could call them. But like, what are the odds? Again, my buddy standing next to my family and of the thousands and thousands of volunteers, the one that shifted onto my wheelchair was my friend. Like infinitesimally low odds. And it just kind of spoke to, hey, when you're in your lowest moment in this sport or just in life, like your people are going to have your back. Like it was just a beautiful kind of experience. And that was like kind of the foundation of, three more Boston marathons each, which probably wasn't that good. And then this past April, or 2 months ago, I finally had my breakthrough Boston, went 2:42, and my parents were there at the finish line, but it was a much different embrace. Yeah, so Boston special, it's probably the definitely the most memorable moments I've had in running. Um, and then from a broadcast perspective, your question though was challenging, right? What was the most
I would
challenging?
say, yeah, like kind of that similar type of answer that you had for running where it was memorable and it was challenging and you
Yeah.
look back and you're like, I'm so proud that I like was able to find a way to do this given the circumstances, like something like that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I got it. It probably wasn't a single broadcast, but it was a point in time, and I think that was in Wilmington, my first post-collegiate job. I think a lot of graduates that have their first job immediately have a chip on their shoulder and they're ready to get out to the second job. But it was tr tough because I went from play-by-play, which I always wanted to do, and I was reporting on like homicides and city council meetings and like editing in a McDonald's like on deadline, trying to use their Wi-Fi to get my stories in. And there was a lot of times I was wondering like, how am I going to get to the next job from here? Like, what is the path out? I was doing a hurricane coverage and just sitting soaked in the car waiting to do my next live shot, or where am I going to drive to do my next live shot? Can I even get there because it's flooded? Like just things like that. But at some point, again, just kind of found a way to get into a rhythm. I think once I stopped feeling sorry for myself and again started involving myself more in other people, investing in other people, whether that was I started running with the UNCW cross country team. I'm so thankful to them, and they made life a lot more fun. My friends at the station, we all kind of just bought in together and started grinding. And um, I would take my weekends to fly down to Miami to do any opportunity the director at UM would give me to do a baseball broadcast or a tennis broadcast, play by play. I'd take my weekends and fly down there for that. And I would remember waking up at 4 a.m., take the Uber to the airport and go back to Wilmington and work that full day. But that's what I was doing to try to give
Wow.
myself a chance to maybe make it out.
Yeah.
And yes, come June 2017, an FIU play-by-play job opened up, and was was able to be the one to snag that role. And then again,
Wow.
you think you've made it, and then FIU presented plenty of challenges down the road too, like that we didn't have a proper broadcast set. I remember I had like a microphone for my first play, but like not even a headset. I was like, "Where's my headset?" They're like, "What are you talking about?" It's like we have a long way to go here. But
Yeah.
eventually bought into the people around me there. And but again, it's kind of a similar story. Then you're at FIU a couple of years and you're like, well, what? I don't want to be here forever. What do I have to do to get to the next step? And how can and that's a challenging process. And just kind of relied upon again a lot of running principles. Find a way to
Pace yourself.
yeah,
Pace
yeah,
yourself.
yeah. And then thankfully now getting opportunities more and more from ESPN and Major League Soccer, and was able to find a way to that next step. So not like one broadcast, but I think just when you're in the tough spots of any job that we have, like, and you're thinking about the next step and how can you get there, and you feel a little stuck. I think sometimes we all go through that kind of period of time, and it's staying patient, but also being proactive. And um, it's a tricky puzzle to put together. But I think the biggest thing is still staying, like we said before, like present, grateful. Like I look back and I was like, if you would have told me I only have 22 months in Wilmington and I'd be out on to the next better thing in your mind, like I think I would have just relaxed a little more, like enjoyed who I was around with, stopped pressing so much, being so stressed. But that's hindsight, right? We never know in the in the moment. And
Yeah.
at the same time, I think it's okay to be a 22, 24-year-old that's grinding and trying to get to that next step. So that's fine too. So yeah, it's probably a period of time more so than a single
Yeah.
broadcast, if that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. I love that. That that sounds like, you're in mile 17, 18 of a race. Like
Okay.
I can relate to that. Like there's so much comparison there. AJ, this has been tremendous.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your time. I'm gonna think of like a fun little last question though. That's like
Go.
kind of off the dome.
Let's go.
So first of all, you do you use Strava? Are you a Strava person?
Yeah, I'm on the Strava every
You're
day.
on the you're on the Strava.
I mean, if you don't post it on Strava, it's like, did you really run? That's the joke, right?
It is, yeah, it is. It's funny because in 2020 when I was running by myself for the first time, discovering this sport, I just had my phone and I set it to a 15-minute timer, and when the timer went off, I was like, all right, I'm done. That's it.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
That's my favorite kind of run right there. 15 and done.
That's fair. Um, so this is a tough question, but like, what would be the equivalent to Strava for like broadcasting?
Okay, that's such a great say. I was on like AI the other day, and I was like, what app could I create to like document and log my broadcast? And like, can you put a segment for like a photo and a clip of the best call of the broadcast and where you did, who you called it? Like, I have had this idea because I love documenting stuff. Like I have a notes app of like every golf course I golf at, or like every, or I use an app for like every movie I see. Like I'm kind of weird about documenting stuff. Like Strava is
Yeah,
obviously like every run you do. So if you
yeah.
can figure out like an app or website to make that happen for us like niche broadcasters that just want to document our games, that'd be awesome. I'd appreciate it. You can take all the funds that the broadcasters will pay for the app.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta figure out like what would it shows the pace, what your pace is when you're
Yeah.
running on the Strava app. What's the equivalent of like whatever broadcasting thing is to the pace? Like
Mm.
you're talking at a
Hertz per
10-minute
minute.
pace. You're talking at a 10-minute pace, or a when someone's at the free throw line, you're talking at a 10-minute pace versus
Yeah.
like, I don't know, fast break transition opportunity, you go to a 6-minute pace. Are we working somewhere with this?
Yeah, I don't even know. Like, yeah, word pace, words. I don't even. Maybe we just like put like a rating, a self rating, and that's our pace for the how we thought the broadcast was. I don't know, but that's you're onto something
I
there.
don't know. I
Think
don't
there's
know.
something
We'll see. Who knows? But
there.
anyways, AJ, this has been awesome. Really, really appreciate it. It's nice meeting you, and hopefully our paths cross at some point in person. Would love to get a run in, and I think you do some track and field broadcasting as well, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Always doing some runner space stuff or float
Yeah.
track. I saw you just did the Big South Championships. That's awesome. I hope that was a good time.
It was
Yeah,
so unique. It was so unique. I worked with a student at Virginia Tech, and then his name's Landon Weaver, and then I worked with Austin Miller, who is he's still pole vaulting professionally,
yeah,
and that was a unique experience. And I never like I always like highlighted the running events, but the field events, we really highlighted the field events, and I learned a lot about that. But yeah, thanks so much for coming on the
yeah.
Go podcast, and yeah, really appreciate it, man.
I enjoyed it, man. Good stuff. I appreciate it.